All right, hey everyone. So this is probably the most common one that you guys struggle with at first. And it totally makes sense, especially because I didn't give you graph paper. Without graph paper, it's totally doable. It's just a lot more algebraic and uses more formulas. A lot of you knew that you needed to find the slope between these 2 points, which is a good start. You do need that. And so you started using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is totally fine, totally good. And then there's another formula called the midpoint formula that helps with this. But I'm going to show how to do this if you can see it on a graph. And by all means, we're going to totally allow you to use graph paper whenever you need to. So first I plotted C and C prime. So I've got the pre-image and the image. It said it was reflected over a line in a way that resulted in negative 8 comma 2 becoming, or yeah, transforming to become negative 4 comma 4. So we need that line of reflection. So this is where that definition comes in that I had you guys write in class, and if you didn't write in class, you needed to write for homework tonight. So the line of reflection is always going to be the perpendicular bisector of any segment connecting corresponding pre-image and image points. So C and C prime are corresponding pre-image and image points. So you need two things to have a perpendicular bisector. You need to have, make sure that the line that you're going to draw, that line of reflection, is in fact perpendicular to this blue segment I made. And you'll also have to make sure it bisects this blue segment. Remember, bisect means cut into two, right? So it's got to cut it right in the middle. So first of all, I might as well do what you guys did anyway, a lot of you, was find the slope. By all means, you can totally use the formula. In graph paper, it's a little easier to see. You can go up 2 over 4. So the slope from C to C prime is 2 over 4, but remember, we want to reduce that. And we're going to say, ooh, that's, I don't need that. So we're going to say equals 1/2, right? Because 2 over 4 reduces to 1 over 2. So again, this is the slope between C and C prime. So remember, for the perpendicular condition of the line of reflection being a perpendicular bisector, we need to make sure that the slope of our line of reflection is the opposite reciprocal of this one. So I'm going to just call it LOR. I know that's very informal, but again, this is that CC prime slope. And the slope of the line of reflection, since it has to be perpendicular bisector, needs to have a slope of negative 2. And if you want to write it as negative 2 over 1, if that makes you feel better, by all means go for it, but we usually just leave it as negative 2. Okay, so we know that that's the slope, but we need a point as well in order to know what the equation of a line is. So for it to be a bisector, it's got to hit right in the middle. So a visual way to do this is to think about the fact that we went up 2 over 4. Well, just go up half that much. So I think it's going to be easier if you just see it. So if I go up 2 over 4, we can see where halfway would be, since it's a nice rise over run that's both even. We can see that halfway, let's see, what color should I use? You know, orange is cool. So up 1 over 2 will get me halfway. And you'll see that that works, right? So right there, that point right here, so that's negative 6 comma 3, will be our midpoint. So that's what we call the point in the middle. So sorry for the delay. Here it is. Whoop. So I'm going to type that up too. That the midpoint of C, so segment, I know this is super informal. Sorry, I just want to make it make sense. C prime is negative 6 comma 3. Okay. So now we have everything we need to write the equation of a line. So you guys are really used to the equation of a line being y equals mx plus b, which is all good, of course. But in that case, you need a slope and a y-intercept. Okay, so I need the equation of the line that's going this way. It's going to cut through here. So sometimes we get lucky where the y-intercept will be very obvious once we count from that midpoint, the down 2 over 1. Remember, because that's the bisector portion of what's required for a line of reflection, and then the perpendicular condition we meet by going from that point, which we know has to be on the line of reflection, right? It's going through the middle, going down 2 over 1. So that's going to be 2 points that we need to determine that line. I'll make it purple. Might as well keep that going. So we can, if it passes really nicely, we can use the graph. But I purposely didn't make it super accurate. We should be able to check this algebraically just in case to make sure that this is in fact the perpendicular bisector. If it is, it'll go through the midpoint with that slope of -2, the opposite reciprocal. So this is where the other work comes in. Oh, it's on my answer key. Here it is. Where if you do it this way, by all means you have the slope is -2, so I replace that, and you've got a point on the line. There you go. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to put the -6. Wherever I see a y, I'm going to put the 3, and go ahead and solve for b. There's your equation of the line in terms of y equals mx plus b. But the reason we taught you in Algebra 1 that there's more than one form of a linear equation is because sometimes it's a lot easier to write one over another depending on what's given. So again, it's really easy to find the slope, so m is no problem. And then once we find the midpoint, which we need, we now have enough information to write it in point slope form, which you've seen this before. Y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So remember, that means we take y and subtract the y value. There that is. You set that equal to, don't forget m is that opposite reciprocal slope from my original. And then we've got our negative x value right here, which again becomes positive. Minus -6 is plus +6. I'm just right now simplifying and moving things over. Either way, y equals mx plus b, you'll get this. If you leave it like this, if I don't specify if I want it in point slope form or slope intercept, that's the equation of a line. Y minus 3 equals -2, parentheses, x minus -6. That's point slope form. You're good to go. Moreover, I did tell you guys, or I just emailed you, that we had a really good equation, or sorry, a really good, I'm losing my mind. This was someone's bell work, and I can tell what they did. See, you have that slope formula. They even labeled x1, y1, x2, y2, so I know where that came from, how that transitioned here, how they got 2 over 4, and then actually reducing this. And then they went ahead and started plugging in. Well, I know the slope, or again, they made this mistake. We'll get to that in a second. And I've got that point. I can pick any point. Also notice they're using the point of the actual image. That's not the point that we need to find the equation of the line. We need the equation of the line that, remember, cuts that segment CC prime in half. So there's a couple mistakes here, but they're really easy to follow because, look, I can see their work. So they plugged in a point that was on their segment. So two main mistakes here, and she even pointed that out, like slope of the line of reflection. Like, did I do that right? Nope, that's the slope of the pre-image and image segment. So that's the first mistake. You had to use -2, that opposite reciprocal. And the other mistake was the point she plugged in is not one that's going to be on the line of reflection. It better not be, right? If -4 was on that line of reflection, that's definitely not going to be a perpendicular or on the perpendicular bisector. So a couple mistakes there, but easy to follow. So I hope that helped with this one. Again, you can do it by hand, by finding the slope and the midpoint. And I'll show that midpoint thing tomorrow. It's also on the email I sent out. Otherwise, you'll always be given a graph. All right, I hope that helps with studying, and I hope that helps with your homework tonight. Bye.